The start of another week, you're watching the polls on the JoyNews channel, DSTV channel 421, GoTV channel 144. Coming up this afternoon, investigative journalist Anas Anas petitions the Commission on Human Rights and Administrative Justice charged to investigate allegations of conflict of interest against Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta. Stay for details as the minister hints he will be presenting the 2024 budget on Thursday despite threats from 98 NPP MPs to boycott proceedings if he does not step down.
So next week, will you be presenting the budget? Will you do so yourself?
Yeah, I expect so.
What do you say to the NPP MPs who say they don't want you to do so next week?
I don't know. I haven't heard that officially, so I'll see.
I don't know his head, but we are also resolute in our approach. And, well, if he hasn't heard, maybe in the course of time he'll hear.
We'll see how that will pan out as we expect a report from the 8-member ad hoc committee. Also give us variety. The call from patrons of government's planting for food and jobs market as they make a stop at Circle or Brass Sports here in Accra. And of course, we'll be exploring the practicality of their demands here on the polls and talks between government and organized labor over public sector pay in limbo as labor unions say government is yet to engage them after an earlier meeting ended inconclusively. I will definitely examine that push, I beg your pardon, for a 60% pay rise in the public sector. This is The Pulse. It's always brought to you by Global Communities, Digne Lu, Affordable Safe Sanitation. Don't forget that we're streaming live on YouTube and on all of our social media handles. It's at JoyNews on TV. Feel free to be a part of the show. You can also get interactive on all of our social media pages. This is JoyNews, independent, fearless, and credible journalism. I am blessed Sogah. Thanks for choosing us. This is The Pulse. And this afternoon, Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta is in hot waters. The Commission for Human Rights and Administrative Justice, SHRAJ, says it has received an official complaint from the Tiger IPI team and private investigator Anas Anas on a conflict of interest situation involving Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta and a former Minister of State, Charles Edubwahing. As you know, Mr. Edubwahing has been dismissed for alleged influence peddling and using his name and the name of the Vice President to receive bribes from investors in an investigative piece by the investigative journalist Anas Anas. He has denied the allegation but says he will cooperate with the state investigative authorities to prove his innocence. My colleague Kwekwe Asante has been monitoring this latest from the investigative journalist, joins us via Zoom. So Kwekwe, let's start off from this latest that we're seeing from Anas Anas. What grounds do we know what grounds are we learning of as being the claims for which Tiger IPI wants SHRAJ to investigate the finance minister?
So, Brace, we know that the minister has been dogged with conflict of interest allegations. Indeed, it forms part of the grounds that the minority have filed seeking to remove the minister from office. Of course, the committee is now, taking out that option because lawyers for the finance minister have argued that conflict of interest matters is just in the sole purview of the Commission on Human Rights and Administrative Justice, SHRAJ, and so they want them to look into those matters. But we know now of this new petition from SHRAJ bordering on these two individuals who have come under intense pressure. Already, Charles Edubwahing is gone, and the minister is still fighting for his job. But the specific grounds, we are here to get an inkling in terms of what exactly Anas, the evidence he has been adducing to SHRAJ in terms of working on this. We know that when it comes to Charles Edubwahing, it has to do with a number of his companies, particularly the Black Star company, which has been receiving commissions for government bonds, government loans, and other such instruments. It is also similar for the finance minister, Ken Ofori-Atta, whose bank, Data Bank, gets some job and other commissions in terms of government borrowing. So these two ministers will have to be answering these questions to SHRAJ. Just like I told you earlier on, lawyers for the minister said it's only up to SHRAJ to investigate these matters, and now SHRAJ is going to do so. Yeah. We've had a conversation with Mr. Whittal, who is the head of SHRAJ, who has been confirming receiving this petition.
But here's the thing, just a couple of days before the airing of Galante's Economy, which is the latest piece by Anas Arimia Anas, we've seen excerpts of a transcript of what was supposed to be aired. Portions we know relate to the finance minister. Could that be part of the reasons for which we're seeing this action by the investigative team?
Indeed, the information we have is that something of that sort is going to happen. If you look at the video itself, the finance minister, Kenneth Ofori-Atta, isn't implicated anywhere. Of course, Charles Edubuahin is the centerpiece of that investigation, and he is involved. He is said to allegedly be demanding about 20% of a 500 million investment package for a bank in Ghana. So that aspect is being dealt with currently. But in terms of finance minister, in terms of the entire gamut of evidence that the investigative team is presenting, we do not know if there are any other details outside of this video that Anas has already published. And so we'll be waiting to see the full particulars unfold at SHRAJ. But SHRAJ says they are very much ready to roll the investigations and get straight to the bottom of it.
And then, of course, there's a lot happening in terms of what we're expecting in Parliament tomorrow. The 8-member ad hoc committee that was set up by the Speaker to look into claims of a vote of censure against the finance minister. He's presented his side of the story, and we're expecting that report to be laid before the House. Do we know, as of now, if that work has been completed?
So information we are having is that the committee will be writing to the Speaker to seek an extension of time. Or indeed, their work, the 7-day that the Speaker gave them, expired last week. And so as of last week, their job was done. Last Friday, they had to present their report to Parliament. They could not do so. Our understanding is that between the weekend and now, the committee have been seeking to get an extension from the Speaker of Parliament. Indeed, there are also some understanding that as early as tomorrow, the report will be laid and MPs will be expected to vote on it. Never mind that on Wednesday or on Thursday, the budget is expected to be presented. And it is not clear if the finance minister will be doing so himself, because already 98 NPP MPs say they don't want him to do that. If he loses the vote of censure, the president may dismiss him. And so there's that kind of uncertainty hanging around the neck of the minister ahead of the presentation of the budget, either this Thursday or Wednesday, whichever the leadership of Parliament agrees with.
Yeah, so we know that there's indeed the readiness on the part of some 98 NPP MPs to kick Finance Minister Kenneth Ofori-Atta out. In fact, they're threatening that if indeed the Finance Minister appears to present the budget, they may not cooperate with him. What else do we know about that conversation that took place on the Super Morning Show earlier today?
So you've been hearing from Andy Appiah-Kubi, he's the MP for Asante Ashim North, and he has been going into the specific details. You know, that interview there that I had with the finance minister asking specifically if he'd heard about these claims of the NPP MPs. First, let's hear what the minister said about whether or not he has heard these MPs. Then we'll go into what Andy Appiah-Kubi has been telling us.
It's a good time to listen to Kenneth Ofori-Atta.
Well, hearing is not compulsory. I'll give him the benefit of decision whether or not he's heard. But we are also resolute in our approach. And well, if he hasn't heard, maybe in the course of time he'll hear.
Okay, but Kweku, here's the leader, and we need to be clear, of the group of 98. Well, I don't want to say he's the leader because we're not sure what the position of the majority leader is. It appears he says it's only a few MPs who are not in support. So the entirety of the majority has an issue with this. And here's echoed what the position of that group is, which means they will not cooperate with him going forward.
Exactly. And the majority leader says that this is a position that now belongs to the entirety of the NPP majority group in Parliament. They are the ones making this demand now. We heard of their meeting they had with the president, where they acceded to the president's request to stand down this demand until the budget is read and until the IMF talks are concluded. They've now gone back on that word. They say they want a minister out immediately. And from what Andy Appiah-Kubi, who is the spokesperson for the group, is saying, if the minister appears in Parliament on Thursday, there will be some form of embarrassment for him because they're not backing down on their demand.
Kweku Asante, parliamentary correspondent, will be on the lookout as you report on the latest tomorrow. Well, let's bring in Adam Senanu, who is co-chair of the Citizens Movement Against Corruption. He's joining us via phone now. Good afternoon to you, sir. Thank you for your time. So what do you make of this latest from Anas Arimi or Anas?
I didn't clearly hear the latest incident. Maybe perhaps you want to recap.
Yeah, I was just asking about the latest we're receiving from Tiger IPI and the petition against the finance minister to Shraj.
Well, I mean, I think one of the unique things about the work being done by NAS is typically it's a policy advocacy approach where they tend to try and engage responsible parties to do something about their work. And I think that's the way to go. So I'm delighted it's not just been left at the state of we have produced a film, a documentary, but they're also looking out for the state agencies that ought to act on the information and take necessary action. So, yes, we are happy to note that there are further actions that are being taken.
Of course, many of the opinion that why not wait for the parliamentary processes to be complete before the Tiger Eye team goes ahead with this. Is that a big deal?
No, it's not an issue. I mean, as we are wont to point out in governance, in many other jurisdictions, you have a multiplicity of agencies investigating the same issue and drawing conclusions. What that does, it ensures that no single group can then say, we have the final position, and you can then compare the conclusions of different agencies and see whether these are aligned with the law. And don't forget that these agencies tend to approach the same issue from different angles. So someone could look at it from a civil issue, someone can look at it as a criminal issue, somebody can look at it in terms of the social norms and practices. So I think it is in order for other groups also to take a bite on this issue.
Let's listen to the Shraj boss himself announce that decision today to receive that petition from Tiger IPN.
Thank you. Also,
I can confirm that 2 days ago, the Commission received a complaint from Tiger IPI under the name of Anas Armiya Anas, alleging conflict of interest of the Finance Minister, Ken Oforiatta, and the former Minister of State at the Finance Ministry, Mr. Charles Edu Boahen, in respect of companies that they have. And the allegations are that there is conflict of interest in terms of their official duties as public officers and the companies in which they have interests in terms of government bonds. And so the case is going through the standard process of assessment. And in order to make sure that it meets the procedural requirements under the Commission's regulations, as well as whether it is really within the mandate of the Commission. Based on that, we will then decide what next steps to take, whether to investigate, or if we think it is not within, then we will decline.
Right. And this process you're talking about, usually how long does it take for you to make a decision?
No, that one is more of an internal, it doesn't require investigation. It's more of the allegations made consistent with the laws of the country and the laws against which those allegations are said to be affecting. Is there a matter that should concern the Commission to investigate? And then procedurally, has the complaint met all the standards of a complaint within the constitutional instrument regulating the complaints, the receiving of complaints, and the investigations of complaints? And of course, whether it's within the mandates of the Commission. All these must be done before we can proceed with a decision on whether to investigate or not.
Well, hopes that this issue will be dealt with. It appears it will be a long road. Adam, what do you think?
Yeah, and I find it interesting. I mean, hitherto we had thought that the Minister of Finance and his deputy had strongly emphasized that they had divorced themselves of all interest in companies that would do business with government, especially companies that they were previously aligned to or had a role in. And so the fact that Tiger Eye is putting forward a request of conflict of interest and saying it has to do with companies that deal with bonds, it will be interesting to see these facts. Interesting days coming up. And yes, that's a totally different angle from what the special prosecutor or any other group will be looking at. So it is the way to go.
I'm grateful, Adam Senanuko, co-chair of Citizens Movement Against Corruption. Give us variety. That's the call this afternoon from patrons of Government's Planting for Food and Jobs market as it makes a stop at Circle of Brasport. The market, which has been running for nearly 2 weeks, has been dominated by plantain and rice, but patrons want cocoyam, cassava, amongst other foodstuff to be introduced as well. Michael Papanieshale spoke to some of the patrons earlier today.
This will actually be the first time Government's PFJ market is coming to Cycle and its environs. Currently, we are at a Brasport where individuals are coming here now in their numbers. The news is just getting out that the market is not ready to sell, and so many people are here in a frenzy, bargaining to get a good price of what ordinarily they also been getting on the market. Let me paint a very good picture of what exactly is happening now before we talk to some of the patrons here. So this is a vehicle that just came here. You can see that they are loading the entire vehicle. It tells you probably how good the price it is and how much they are getting it. Probably it's a good price. So the entire vehicle, it's only the driver's seat and one passenger seat that has been left here. The entire vehicle is now full of bunches of plantain, all from Government's PFJ market here. So please, whose items are those? How much did all of that cost you?
Almost 500 cedis.
500 Ghana cedis. But why did you buy so much?
We use it for a restaurant.
I see.
Yes.
But is it just for you?
No, it's for a corporate business.
It's a corporate business. What are you going to use it for?
It's for a restaurant.
A restaurant?
Yes.
Why do you find it prudent to come and buy from this particular market, not the regular market?
This is an opportunity for you to grab, so you just have to be here and just have it for yourself.
Quickly, would you say it's cheaper here or it's more expensive here?
Okay, so to speak the truth, it's cheaper. Very cheaper.
If you compare the price, what are you talking about? How cheap is it?
Much cheaper. Yeah.
Listen, what's your name?
Felix.
Felix, okay, great. Felix, thank you very much. So Felix says they are from a restaurant. They thought it prudent to rather buy from here. I mean, it's worse. The plantain here is much cheaper than what you ordinarily find on the market here. So there are more people coming in who are hoping to buy from Government's PFJ market here. Again, we should put across that the security here to try to protect the women. Over the days that they've been doing this, there's been mad rush for the plantain, and many people have been harassing the women that have been selling the plantain here. Let me try and find out from some of those who have come to this market to buy on what their expectations. Does this meet the expectation? Are you here to buy?
Yeah.
Well, what have you bought so far?
You said?
What have you bought so far?
Oh, this is mine.
How much did that cost you?
I think 75 cedis for 5.
Wow. So you bought 5 bunches?
Yeah.
And that's 75 Ghana cedis. Why buy so much?
It's for me and my friends.
Wow. Why did they ask you to buy for them?
Yeah, they asked me to buy for them.
Why are you buying from this particular market?
Why am I buying these from, not from market to this place? I think this is far better than the market.
When you talk about far better, I mean how? Quantify it.
But because you can get this one. When you go to the market, you can get this one as 30 cedis. By here is 15 cedis, so it's good.
That's half the price.
Yeah.
I see.
So I would advise everyone to come here to come and buy.
Okay. So, person, what are you going to use yours for?
I'm going to use it for red plantain for my children. Yes, we are going to eat it in the house.
Okay. Yeah. Great. So finally, though, some other people have made a concern that why only plantain? If government can sell it this cheap, that it should be introducing some more other variety to just plantain.
Yeah, we think it's not only the plantain they will sell. If they brought more goods than more with the plantain, it's okay.
So what are you expecting when you talk about more goods? Which other ones are you expecting?
You see, now we cannot buy rice because exporting rice to Ghana cost a lot because 80. Some are selling, last price you will get is 80 cedis. But when we have local rice, I think 50, 60, we can buy local rice.
I see. Now, apart from the local rice, what else are you looking for?
And I think maize, because these are three things we usually eat more in Ghana. Okay. Banku, fufui, and rice. Yeah.
Great. What's your name?
Sarah. Yeah, Sarah Neti.
Okay, Sarah, thank you very much. Yeah, so we just spoke to Sarah, and she's much elated to buy from government's market here. But again, the call for some more variety to be added to what is sold here. She says rice, if added, will help this particular situation much better. Before I wrap up, let me speak to just a handful of other individuals who are also here to buy and see what is in for them here. I see that you've bought a lot. How much have you bought so far?
I've bought like 6.
6 bunches. How much did that cost you?
It's not up to 50 cedis.
Wow, is that not cheating the woman? Because only you would have bought that like 3 times the price on the market.
It's actually the price I came to meet here, and it's cool, so I need to take advantage of it.
But why are you buying so much?
Okay, I'm buying some for my household too.
I see. So compare the price you are getting here to that on the market. I mean, how much do you save on every bunch that you're buying?
Okay, the last time I bought some at the market for 70 cedis. So by far I can say I've saved a lot.
Let me thank you very much. I didn't get your name.
Rosina.
Thank you very much, Rosina. So Rosina has been buying a lot since morning here. She tells me she's making a lot of savings by deciding to come to this market. Let me find some of the market women finally on what is happening here, how soon they hope to finish this. And one of the big questions, where is this plantain from? Whose market is this plantain coming from? The lady here is in charge of the bunch that is here. It's in different categories. The one here is 25 cedis, if I'm not mistaken. The one in your short is 20 Ghana cedis, and the others are 15 and 10 Ghana cedis here. Well, they tell me they have to weigh it to determine which category it will fall on. But let me ask you quickly, how soon is this going to finish?
Oh, maybe by 12.
By 12, and it's around 10, so 2 hours to go, and it will be finished.
Yes.
Wow. But there's a question on the minds of people. Where are these plantain from?
Begro. Okay. Begro. Tomorrow ones will come from Seshi. Yours.
But whose farms are these coming from? Because the market women also complain that they go and get it from the same farms I want to believe that you're getting them from. But they have to sell it at a higher cost than what is being sold here.
Oh, the thing is, this one is from Ministry of Agri. He is the one supporting it so that everyone can buy. So they can't compare the Ministry for Agri to their own. It can't be possible. We go straight to the farm and brought it here. They too, they will buy it, transit until they will be here. But we will go straight to the farm and buy it and bring it here.
I didn't get your name.
Baby from Chobo constituency.
Baby, thank you very much. Yeah. So these are some reactions from the PFJ market at the Obra spot. Many more people continue to come in, and there's a queue that is already building up whilst the news travels that the market is now at Obra spot, much closer to some other people who wanted it closer to them. But the concern is that when is government going to be adding some more variety to the plantain that is selling here? Well, government has already responded, says it's working assiduously to get some more other food items onto this particular market.
And my colleague Michael Niashali gets in the latest on the Planting for Food and Jobs market. Isa Al-Hassan Ridwan is press secretary to the Minister for Agriculture, joins us via Zoom now. Dr. Charles Nyaba is head of programs and advocacy at the Peasant Farmers Association of Ghana. Thank you, gentlemen, for your time. I just want to find out from you, Isa, if you're going to yield to the calls and demands that you add varieties and not just the plantain and rice that we're seeing on display. Have you made arrangements for that yet?
Yes, thank you very much for having me. Good afternoon to your lovely viewers. Yes, rather, if you have followed the market since last 2 weeks, you will have realized that it's not only plantain or rice that we are doing right now. We've added yam and vegetable oil, local-made vegetable oil. Aside that, there are other agro-processing goods that are also here. You have gari, you have shito, you have pako shito, and other varieties that can be used in your house on a daily basis. So we've not limited ourselves to rice and plantain at all.
And are you beginning to put costs to what is going on in terms of how much sales you've made, what kind of savings you're doing for the average Ghanaian taxpayer? Are you beginning to put figures to it, just to give us a sense of how much progress you've made with the Planting for Food and Jobs market?
Okay, so I've heard a lot of people asking us about costs and all that, profit, benefit, and all that. Before you can come to join us in this trading, one of the conditions that you have to fulfill is that you should make sure that the product that you are bringing to the ministry
Ridwan, it appears that we're having some challenges hearing Ridwan or having a stable connection. Ridwan, we lost you briefly. If you could just take the points for us again so we can get that clearly. Ridwan? Okay, looks like we've lost Ridwan. Dr. Nyaba, so there you have it, government indicating that they will be adding varieties. But how sustainable, in your view, will this be?
Thank you very much. Let me say good evening to the listeners and then your colleagues. I think your question is the same question that we keep asking. How sustainable will this be? How long is this going to take? Why are we limiting the commodities to only plantain and yam, and yet we call it a PFJ market? I'm a bit confused why we have to call this PFJ market, because we are a key actors in the PFJ program, and the commodities that the program support are maize, rice, soybeans, sorghum, cowpea, tomato, pepper, onions, cabbage, cucumber, lettuce, and then carrot. So if you look at plantain and yam, it is not one of the commodities that PFJ helps. So I don't know why we left those commodities that PFJ invests a lot. Okay, if you take maize, for instance, government has put a lot of money to support maize farmers in the areas of access to seeds and fertilizer to produce. If you take soybeans, government put a lot of money to support soybean farmers. If you take rice, government put a lot of money to support rice farmers. These are staple foods that every Ghanaian would have consumed at least 2 or 3 times within the week. Plantain are consumed by some few families. It's not every day. So it is good for government to show that these commodities are abundant in the rural communities, but it would have helped more, as you can hear from the consumers, if those commodities that government are supporting under the PFJ were those that government will take lead and bring them to the market. There are a lot of people who are calling us to bring them maize and rice. You go to the producing areas and the prices are so high because of the cost of production in this year. Apart from the production cost, if you look at the cost of bringing those commodities to the urban areas, there's no way any other business person, including the Ministry of Food and Agriculture, would have been able to bring them to break even if they're not using government subsidy to bring them. So we talked about the price of plantain being higher by the market women compared to what the Ministry of Food and Agri is bringing. We need to ask of the factors. Why are those commodities higher than what the Ministry of Food and Agri is bringing? It's because of continuous increase in transport fares. So before they get them to Accra, obviously, if you add the transport cost, it will be higher. So for us, we are not too comfortable with government distorting the market or distorting the value chain. If government want to support to bring the price down, they should subsidize the transport costs for the chain actors to bring them. When you do that, in the event that government is not even there, we will still continue. So are we now pushing these women out of business? So it's a question that we are not too comfortable with. And the press secretary was talking, Mr. Isa, who is also my good friend. If you look at the pillars of PFG, the fifth pillar is market support, which is trying to strengthen the market to engage with producers. So if the government is not taking the role of market actors, what happened? Will government continue with this trend? So for us, we think that government need to actually have a second look of the approach. But we do not think that this option is the best to go in terms of sustainability.
Issa, let me put that to you. The question as to where we're putting our monies. It's mostly into, I guess, cereals and grains. For instance, you have rice and, other areas, maize that we're funding in terms of the planting for food and jobs. So why shift focus onto plantain, for instance, which is not a priority for this government policy?
A priority. The question is about what the people want to feed on. And I agree with Nyaba, yes. Maize, rice, grains are the major foodstuffs that PFJ had invested in. Yes, the plan to introduce maize is on the line. It's seriously being considered. And I'm very sure that by next week, when the consignment moves from Techiman to Accra, we would find maize in there. Secondly, I shudder to think, we have said this time and time again that government is not directly investing in this project. Very soon, we will have the people who supply these items straight from the farm gate to Accra coming to speak. What we have done as a ministry is not to take the market off the market women. Like we have said, government has no business in selling, ministry has no business selling food to people. But we are doing this as an emergency measure and to make a point that, look, the food are available. Look, we are talking about food that people are complaining about its high cost. I certainly do not think that maize certainly is one of them, especially when it comes to the big feed. And that's how come we were prioritizing certain food items. But of course, we keep on getting calls from people that we should add more food items to it. And that's exactly what we are doing. So I can assure you, it's not only maize that we are considering. We are considering beans, gari, and other foodstuffs that we think go to the average Ghanaian pool on daily basis. So if somebody says that we are putting our money wrongly or somewhere, I really don't get it, because we have said it time and time again that what we are doing is only as a ministry is to facilitate the trading for these people who ordinarily may have used market women or market middlemen somewhere along the line. This time around, we want to do a linear market straight from the farm to the ministry, and then the ministry will use the institutions to market it for them. So that's exactly what we are doing.
And there's the question as to whether or not you're intentionally killing the market of petty traders. I mean, this is where they make a lot of money. So if you're directly connecting to the market, then you are running many out of jobs.
So, my brother, take plantain, for instance. Few weeks ago, there were so many calls from plantain farmers in Sefi and Agogo that they were not getting buyers. Why are we also not looking at that end too? Because farmers are not guaranteed immediate market. So you call them that we need 2 tracts of plantain. The farmer goes straight to the farm, harvests the plantain, and the next day it comes to Accra. Are we not also benefiting the farmers? Why are we not talking about that? Why is everybody talking about the middleman? Why is everybody focusing on the market woman? What about the farmer who is now guaranteed a straight market from the farm? We have been speaking to them. We are not just doing this in a vacuum, because we know that right now, if you go to Agogo right now, the farmer is currently in his farm. He or she is guaranteed that her plantain or his plantain will not be rotten, because the ministry has asked suppliers to supply straight to Accra. Why are we not looking at that? Plantain is a perishable food. So if that food stays on the farm for a long time, the farmer loses revenue. So let us also look at that we are also guaranteeing ready market for the farmers, and also making sure that some few Ghanaians who also have access to this food are going for it at a relatively cheaper price. So there are end benefits. Okay? From the farm gate, the farmer is guaranteed ready market. When it comes to town, we also have the ordinary Ghanaian also going for it at a cheaper price. Who loses? We all benefit.
Dr. Nyaba, it goes hand in hand, isn't it? The fact that you're looking at also feeding the markets and not necessarily running people out of business. Dr. Nyaba. It appears we've lost Dr. Charles Nyaba there. But Issa Alhassan, let me wrap up with you. So what's the way forward, and what's your target by the end of this month?
Yeah, so today we were at Obrasport. Tomorrow we are still taking yam, rice, maize, and other deliveries. We want to, as much as possible, extend this to other regions. In fact, plans are far afoot that by next week we should be at Jubilee Park in Kumasi trading. So we have targeted, based on the Ghana Statistical Services report, you see that certain regions are experiencing inflation more than others. So we'll be looking at those 4 regions: Greater Accra, Ashanti region, Eastern, and then Western region, Takoradi, and look at it with those 4 regions and then we'll look at next time, we'll look at extending it to other regions. So we will do this as long as the foods are available. And we are promising Ghanaians that come this Christmas, like we keep on saying, we're going to have a lot of affordable foodstuffs to enjoy with our family.
Grateful for your time. Issa Alhassan, Ridwan, Press Secretary to the Minister for Agriculture. You're still watching the Pulse on the JoyNews channel. When we get back, we'll assess the claims by labour unions who are asking for some 60% pay rise. We'll deal with that shortly. And you're welcome back to the Pulse. Talks between government and organized labor over public sector pay is in limbo. Labor unions say that they want at least 60% increment in their base pay, with talks last Friday ending inconclusively. Well, Kwekwa has been monitoring the developments and now reports on that.
This crucial meeting over salary increase ended in a stalemate, with organized labor unwilling to go back on their demands. A furious Deputy Secretary General of the Trades Unions Congress, Joshua Ansah, said life had become unbearable for many workers.
If they really mean to read the budget, then they should be serious with these negotiations. I'm upset. we are not happy about the way things are going. We are not happy at all, and Ghanaian workers are suffering. You are all workers, we are all suffering. Look at what the living standard is at today.
Executive Secretary of the Civil and Local Government Staff Association, Isaac Bampuado, told journalists government was considering their proposal.
We went through the proposals that we had presented to government, and it looks like there's no mandate from government, so we have asked the meeting to be adjourned for government to come back with a proper mandate.
Meanwhile, Deputy Employment and Labour Relations Minister Bright Rekubrobe says government couldn't reach any consensus with organised labour, hence the decision to adjourn the meeting to today. With the 2023 budget set to be read this week, a decision must be taken in time to be factored in the appropriation, which will be passed by Parliament. The question, though, is if government can afford labour unions' demands in this current harsh economic climate. Kweku Asante, JoyNews.
Okay, at this point, I want to bring in Bernard Ije, who's General Secretary of the Public Services Workers Union. Bernard, thank you for your time here on the Pulse. No clear agreement with government, and yet you're still asking for a 60% pay rise. Some say you're not being sensitive to us, knowing our economic position.
Well, thank you very much, Blessed, and good afternoon to you and your listeners. It's a difficult time, and it's a difficult conversation to have around this time, and that is one fact we all acknowledge. But when you come into these negotiations and you also don't get realistic with exactly what is happening and how best we can all support each other, then it becomes more difficult for us to reach an understanding that can work both for government and for the workers. And so long as we are concerned as labor unions, our major concern is also for our members. And we see their plight. We see what workers are going through. We see what has happened to us since last year, and especially beginning February up to now, the persistent and consistent increases in fuel prices, in prices of food items, and the conditions in which people live and are surviving. We think that it will be unfair for anybody to think that we are being insensitive. We have been very sensitive since these difficulties started in this economy. We have made a lot of sacrifices, and we are still paying the price, and it is just unbearable as at now.
I mean, you have the option of 30, 40, 50. And not an astronomical 60%. What's informing that, by the way?
All right. So, my brother, we've done our numbers. We've looked at a number of things. First of all, looking at the minimum wage and then the base pay, because don't forget, there's a policy. When the single span was being introduced, there was a policy that was agreed that the base pay should always be at least 10% higher than the minimum wage. As I speak to you, the base pay is way, way below the minimum wage. That is one thing. We need to make sure we bring up the base pay at least to the level of the minimum wage, which already, as you know, is inadequate. It's almost just about $1. Which if the poverty indices that are being bamboozled around, then the minimum wage does not even fit above or even up to the poverty line. So already, those on a single spine salary structure, the base pay on which we negotiate is already, low. It's already putting people in the poverty space. So we considered what it would take to even bring the base pay to the level of the minimum wage. Then now we even factor issues such as the inflation and the increases in prices that are going all over. When you do all these calculations, then you realize that a 10, a 20, or a 30 or 40 may not be what you'll be talking
Yeah,
about.
and
Also
unfortunately
because
for your group,
our system is such that we do not have social interventions that can reduce the burden that people are going through. And therefore, in our analysis, we think that if government is able to give 60, that is our proposal anyway.
Yeah.
And in every negotiation, depending on how the other party presents itself and the arguments that will come, then there is always the possibility to reach some agreement.
Unfortunately for your group, I mean, talks have broken down between your side and that of government. What's accounting, first of all, for this breakdown in the talks? And are you likely to resume the negotiations? Would you still go forward with the 60%?
No, that would be an unfortunate interpretation to what is going on. Now, talks have not broken down. What is going on is that we have submitted a proposal. Government's counter proposal we consider not to even, it's not sufficient enough even to start negotiating.
Yeah, so you can't make progress. You can't make progress. I guess that's the situation.
So if I may just land, So what we have requested from the government side is, we think that those who gave you the mandate have not considered a number of things. So what you are putting on the table is not enough for us to even start talking. So go back and get a proper mandate. And if you had my Deputy Secretary General and then the Executive Secretary of CLOSAC in the interview, all we are saying is that they should go back and get a mandate that will allow us to even be able to start the engagement. So that's what we've requested. If they come and tell us that they could not get a further mandate, then we could be talking about breaking down.
So what's the figure? What's the range that government? What's the range that government is willing to work with now? What's the proposition on that?
Well, at the last time we met, government proposition was at 12%. And we looked at the fact that, you have given cola 15%, which you are even taking off in December. So if you are going to give me something and you are looking at 12%, then you are not even giving me a 0% salary increase. You are not even giving me a 0 salary increase. And we thought that was very unacceptable. And that is why we couldn't even start talking, because what will we be talking about? A negative, making us worse off? Maybe now we even go below the 0.1 cent of a dollar. So that is what we are talking about. If they recall us, we believe tomorrow, I have seen some correspondences, so it's likely tomorrow we'll be reconvening. If they come properly and come with a figure or a level where we deem appropriate to start engaging, then the negotiations may proceed.
And I'm just wondering what the implications. I'm just wondering what the implications are if the deadlock prolongs.
Oh, well, what the implications are is that government will not have yet come to an agreement with us. We also have constituencies. If it prolongs or drags, definitely we have to go back to our constituency. We would also have to take decisions and see how we proceed with this. And that I cannot say exactly how it will turn out, but I want to believe that government will take very prudent decisions and come back with something realistic that we can be talking about.
Okay, between the 15% or 12% government's proposing and your 60%, you're saying you can't find anywhere in between, like 30, 40, or at most 50. Is that what you're saying?
In negotiations, we have what we call possible zone of agreement. Some decide to call it BATNA, best alternative to a negotiated terms of agreement. There are various things to it. And we believe that government knows these things. At least there are a lot of advisors and experts. When you go to the Ministry of Finance, there are guys there, technical people we've worked with over the years, and we believe they know all these things. Unless government does not want to listen to those advice that are getting to them, then we think it's going to be a very difficult moment going forward.
The finance minister is just about to present his budget without an IMF support. These are the realities of our economy.
So I want you to know that we have been calling for this for so long a time. Some of our other Labour group colleagues have even gone ahead to write, requesting that we need to have these negotiations on time. So if government in its own wisdom has waited to this time, we cannot be rushed. We cannot be rushed. So if they knew that they wanted to present a budget at a particular time, then the needful would have to be done. So it will not be our fault that these negotiations have delayed. We need to do what we have to do. It's a crisis moment. So cool heads needs to be prevailed. But if we are being rushed, then I'm sorry, it's going to be difficult. So I believe that there are good advisors around the government. If only they will listen to those advice, come well, come properly, come to the zone that will be able to sit down and reach some amicable agreement. That will be good for us. But if not, then I can assure you that it's going to be pretty tough and difficult days ahead of us. Yeah.
Well, we can only wish you well. Thank you for joining us here on The Pulse. Bernard J, General Secretary of the Public Services Workers Union here on The Pulse. And Child Advocacy Group, Human Rights Ambassadors, is asking government to clearly state its blueprint for child support and childcare here in the country. At a media briefing to commemorate Children on the World Children Day yesterday, the group highlighted instances where the country has failed to adequately take care of the Ghanaian child with a recommendation on how government can improve on the welfare of children. Let's hear from the convener of the group, Nana Nto.
Ghanaian children, and on behalf of Human Rights Ambassador, to charge the Ministry of Finance in economic planning, yes, to create a space in the 2023-year budget for the children. The budget is not yet read at Parliament. We are charging the ministry that with immediate effect, without further delay, from today, at least 1% of the nation's money or funds to the children. Ghana Nkwala Mobile, Ghana Nkwala Bredodo. They sit in their V8, police motorcade, they see the children in the street and call them street children, child labor. The same people. Finance Minister, Ministry of Finance, the President of the Republic of Ghana, please, let's allocate a space in the budget, 2023-year budget for the children of the Republic of Ghana. We are also calling on individuals, groups who wish to join this movement, who also wish to come and support in any way. Everybody in this country is most welcome.
Just give us the coins. C-O-I-N-S, the coins. The coins we do, because with the coins we can make queens and kings tomorrow out of the coins. Permit me to elaborate a little about the coins. Public toilets. Today we are in a country where we charge 1 cedi for public toilets. We need only 50 pesos out of the 1 cedi from Ghana government to the children's company. It's simple. Because toilets, we all know, nature's call. As far as we continue to live and eat, definitely we must visit when nature calls. It's sustainable. Toll booths are left ajar. They are just there. We are asking Ghana government to give us permission to take only 50 pesos. We don't want 1 cedi, irrespective of the size of the car. 50 pesos. These same 50 pesos will pay the workers at the toll booth. The remaining or the remainder goes to the children's coffers. 50 pesos. The coins can solve the problem. Because the coins will make queens and kings tomorrow. At the time strength is failing us, today we have strength. These children we are talking about will take over the country. And they will run us to the drain. And if we don't take time, we'll call for death. It won't come. In any case, we say we are a religious country. We love God. We praise Allah. We praise Muhammad. We praise Christ. January to December, every Sunday we go to church. You cannot tell me I'm lying. When we are introducing the children how to offer an offering in the name of offertory as collection, every Sunday, Monday, every January to December, can we set aside as Christian community, loving community, people who are living the life of Christ, every 31st night, second collection? They are your own children. You are Christians, you got to show that. Every 31st night, once a year, second collection from all the churches. Can you imagine the amount of coins we'll be having in the children's account? In any case, the Muslims, after Ramadan, 40 days fasting, there's nothing wrong. In your gatheration, everywhere in the nation, you can raise funds for your own children. in their coffers. Can you imagine how much money we'll be making just a year? If it become worse, Ghana government, we are talking about civil service, public service, and security personnel. Anybody who works with Ghana government, even in the private sector, once you are receiving salary as a Ghanaian, you only need the 10 Ghana cedi from your salary. Can we not make this? Can we not make this for your own children? 10 Ghana cedis. The ministers, the MPs, the president, government appointees, the CEOs. 50 Ghana cedis from your big salary, your huge allowance. There is nothing wrong with that. These are your own children. In any case, what about the borders? We sit in this country, we watch news on TV. Huge sum of money, we cannot account for it. It's missing. Bank of Ghana, DVLA, nobody is able to account for it.
Let's stay on this some more, because some children are asking for stiffer punishment against persons who bully them. They were reacting to the theme for this year's Children's Day.
It's a good platform for children to express themselves and also tell what is in their mind. Children should be allowed to explore all around them so that at least they'll be able to know what goes around them.
All the children who are being bullied, the bullying has to stop. Because if it's the World Children's Day, children are supposed to feel happy. But if children are not feeling happy whilst it's World Children's Day, why is it World Children's Day?
Have you been bullied before?
Yes.
By who? A teacher, a student? Who?
Jones.
We don't know who Jones is.
Jones is my colleague in class. Colleague.
Your colleague. Why does he bully you? Is there a reason?
I don't even know.
He just bullies you for fun. Okay. And what do you think? What would you like to be done about that particular thing?
He should be punished.
Of course, it's all about inclusion for every child. That's the theme for this year's Children's Day. And of course, we're still staying on that celebration because the coalition is building for us to kick against child abuse. And in the studio with us today, we have Barbara Yeboah and Magavi, who will obviously help us understand what the celebration is all about and what the World Vision International is seeking to achieve with this celebration. Letitia Nuriang is the immediate past speaker of the Children's National Parliament. Letitia, it's good to see you here in our studio. You are Madam Speaker, right? Yes. How has it been for you over the years handling that position? Cool. It's been really amazing?
It's been really amazing because I am a person with disability. I am a visually impaired person. And I got the opportunity to be the Speaker of the Child Parliament. Indeed, it's a great opportunity because there are other children who are having disability, but their parents do not allow them to explore. Their parents do not expose them so that they can also grow to become some people in future. But because my parents know the importance of education, they know they will die one day. So that is why they allowed me to be included.
The speaker.
Yes, they allowed me to be included in whatever children do. And fortunately, I was elected the Speaker of the Child Parliament.
Okay, we'll talk about some of the pressing issues you discussed when you were Speaker. But I want us to first of all touch on the Children's Day celebration itself. Tell us about this whole celebration and what you're seeking to achieve with the campaign.
Yeah, so happy Children's Day to all children all over the world. So this year the theme is creating a safe and protective environment for children, inclusion for every child. And it also marks the celebration of the 5 years of the Ghana Against Child Abuse. So the government, in the effort to protect children, launched a campaign in 2017 called GACA, that is Ghanaian Against Children. And we have organizations like UNICEF, World Vision, Plan Ghana, who have all come together to make it possible. And then developed some tools, social engagement tools, to educate people on the effect of abuse on children and to promote positive behaviors among people So the campaign has the goal of promoting the welfare of children, protecting the rights of children, and then preventing abuse of children. So it's the 5 years anniversary of Ghanaian Against Child Abuse. That is GACA.
And there are a lot of issues affecting children here in Ghana. What's the priority this time around as we celebrate the...
So the priority is to create more awareness on issues that affect children, such as child marriage, child abuse, child trafficking. So there was actually a 4th session of the National Children's Parliament today, where they discussed issues of violence that they suffer. So they talked about child labor, child protection, child trafficking, child marriage, and all that. So we want to create the awareness and promote positive behaviors. There are a lot of negative cultural practices that mostly affect girls more than boys. So we are promoting this. And then also it's a time to call on government and policy makers and all stakeholders to enforce laws and policies that affect children and to finance more activities towards the protection of children.
Letitia, I'm sure that you've missed being a speaker, but of course, when all of these issues came up when you were the speaker, what were some of the recommendations that you made as a group that have interest in stopping issues relating to abuse against children?
Okay, some of the recommendations that were made by we, the children, were that the government should like the issues are bothering us so much. So we are saying that the government and all stakeholders should ensure that the issues are addressed urgently so that we can also have our rights protected and we will be able to go the extra mile to achieve our dreams.
Do you feel that it's only got to do with the government, or there are some things that parents can also do just to ensure that we support children?
Yes, there is something parents can also do. And why am I saying so? There are some parents, maybe when their child is being abused, they maybe let's take it that the child has been abused maybe by a relative. So because of that, they always want to protect the person so that the person will not be punished. And that is not good. That child is yours. So if he or she has been abused and you say that, oh, this is my family member who has done it, and so let me just leave it, let bygone be bygone, so that that person is not being punished. If you do that and the child dies, who will represent you in the future? And so I think parents have a huge task to perform towards protecting the rights of children. And so I will urge that parents should not shield anyone who happens to infringe on the rights of children so that we can all grow to become useful citizens in future.
And you just heard some of your colleagues talk about bullying. I'm interested in knowing your experience as well.
Yes. In the senior high school, there is also something like that. And also in the basic schools, bullying has been something that is so disheartening. There are some people, when they see that they are older than you, they begin
to take advantage
and do certain things against you, which infringes on your rights. For instance, the senior high schools, they will ask the children to do scrubbing in the night around 12 o'clock. Some of them will kneel on the sand. Some of them will kneel on their own gari, and carry their own boxes. This is not good. I mean, the seniors are infringing on their rights. They need to enjoy. They need to relax and prepare for the next day's activities. But they are being bullied, and so when they go to the classroom, they are very tired. They are not able to learn, and that is not good. So bullying is something that is not actually...
Letitia, I see that you're passionate about this, and we can only support you and your colleagues who are pushing against child abuse. But Barbara, let's talk about streetism. I've not seen that in some of the topical matters that came up this year. I don't know if you're planning to do a special campaign on that, because wherever we go, we find children on the streets as well.
Yes, so we also involve them in activities. We have education for them. And then also, as much as possible, the Ministry of Gender, Children and Social Protection is working hard around it to ensure that these children are returned, or these children are sent back to their families. It's something that that's bothering them because these children are being denied their rights.
So reintegration is the plan for you.
Reintegration
But
is part of the plan.
Sometimes it's a challenge, you agree, trying to even find their families in the first place.
Yeah. And we even find most of them now not even from Ghana. But then the ministry is really working hard because a lot of organizations have brought this up. This has been brought up. And so they're also working hard too. But we don't leave them out of these education. Sometimes we organize these education for them, especially those at the marketplaces and all that. So plans are underway.
And I'm surprised to know that, for instance, child marriage is still a big issue going on in this 21st century, if you want to call it that way.
It is.
Why, and from your own checks, I'm sure that you've gone to some of the communities, interacted with parents in some of these rural areas. What's the motive behind giving out your girl child for marriage at such a young age?
So in recent times, there was a publication from Ghana Statistical Service during the International Day of the Girl Child, where they stated that there are about 80,000 girls who are married or living with boys. And then we had a number of children who are also out of school. So child marriage is intrinsically linked to education. So when we have more girls out of school, the probability of they getting married is high. And also now one of the major causes is teenage pregnancy.
Right.
During COVID, a lot of children were out of school. So we recorded high number of teenage pregnancy. And mostly children who get pregnant are pushed to marry and all that. And then with recent economic crisis, the families see the girls as something, exchanging them for land, for money and all that. So hardship or poverty has also increased child marriage a lot.
That's an interesting dynamic. So some parents, simply because they can't afford food, give out one of their...
So there's one more mouth less to feed when they give their girls out. And then sometimes in exchange for cattle, for farmlands, for property and all that. So it's quite a big issue. The number is we have about 6 million child brides in Ghana. We have currently we have 1 out of 5 girls who are married or in union with.
Right. And we know that in the past you've made several attempts to try and push the campaign to end child abuse. This year, what's the special focus and how are you working to build up that partnership to sustain the fight?
So we are working, the government of Ghana also has a national strategic framework for ending child marriage. And World Vision, for instance, has a whole campaign that has been running for like 5 years to end child marriage. So we are pushing for more funding there is a national operational plan. We are pushing for more funding for the national operational plan to be implemented. And then for refunding of the Domestic Violence Secretariat Fund, there's a fund that is empty. So when there are cases, it's very difficult for them to assess perpetrators. And then for enforcement of laws and policies, especially on perpetrators, we have people walking away and all that. And then also, importantly, we are working to ensure that, the age of consent is 16 years in Ghana to sex. And then the age of marriage is 18. So we are working as NGOs and other partners to be able to bridge that gap so that it could be set at 18, so that we wouldn't have those differences. Yes.
Letitia, let me allow you to send that special message to parents, governments, and all stakeholders who need to know about the need for us to end child abuse. What would you say to them?
Okay. What I would like to tell parents, government, and all stakeholders, the need to end child abuse, is that we are the future leaders and we are very important. We need to grow. And so parents, and anything that will happen, it begins from their home. So parents should ensure that all children stay safe in a safety environment so that they don't feel hurt for anything. And so the government should also ensure that perpetrators are being punished for their action to serve as a deterrent for those who intend doing such a thing, like infringing on the rights of children.
And that's a great message, but it's just the start of it. For those of you who are actually watching us now, we need to tell you that from now till the 25th, of course, you are dedicating a lot of attention to ending child abuse. What should we be expecting in this coming days for that?
So, like I said, today we had the 4th session of the National Children's Parliament, where children presented issues that are facing them and called for action. So there was a actual parliament session where they debated on issues. So there will be other activities at the regional level, celebrations at the various regional levels, and then there will be also a lot of media engagement, moving from different media houses to talk about the GACA campaign and what the government has achieved in the course of ending abuse and violence against children. Yeah.
Anyway, your final words?
So all I will say is that marriage can wait, but education can't. Keeping girls in school is the best way. And then also, no violence against children is justifiable. All violence against children is preventable. So let's all come together to be Ghanaians against child abuse.
Yeah, indeed. Letitia, what do you want to be in the future?
I want to become a journalist.
Oh, amazing. And that's why you're on the pulse. I love that. Amazing. And of course, I will be there to mentor you and to be part of that journey. Thank you for joining us, Letitia and Barbara. Thank you for spending some time with us. Well, this afternoon, the governing New Patriotic Party is considering its option after a second-day High Court dismissed an election petition against MP for Jomoro, Dorcas Afro-Toffee. The court, presided over by Justice Dr. Richmond Osei, dismissed the petition and declared that the MP be made eligible on grounds that she lost her Ivorian citizenship at the very time she acquired her Ghanaian citizenship. There's more in the following report.
As a litigant, Sir Ebakota, you know until the football, I will draw. One board draw or court. You either win your case or you lose it. Court Akasa. Osi Bisen Uziben. Okay, yati. The best judgment in your can. Yanni client or the Bekasa. Za over witchin, Mama was right. But says yes, to me, that is what the court has said, and that is it.
Well, meanwhile, the Member of Parliament herself, Dorcas, says she's happy that the albatross is off her neck and now she's a free woman.
Out of words, I'm just very grateful to God. It's been a long journey. I've gone through a lot, but finally, God has really, done it for me, and I'm very grateful to God and everybody that has been very supportive, especially Advocacy and also the lawyer from Ivory Coast, my chairman, the regional chairman, everybody. I mean, they've been very supportive. Of course, my family, my daughter was here today. So I'm very, very grateful to God. God has been good to me. It has not been easy, but God is good.
Still on the story, a lawyer for the MP, Edwiji Tamaklo, praised the judge for what he says is an excellent verdict.
I need to thank God Almighty and the courts for the rather, brilliant judgment. The scholarship demonstrated in the judgment is pleasing. We are extremely grateful to the courts. We are extremely grateful to the Almighty God. I'm grateful to my colleague lawyers, the regional executives of our party, the national executives, and more importantly, let me say, H. John Dramani Mahama. He has been on this matter right from the beginning. The expenses and everything. I'm extremely grateful. The national chairman of the party is not left out. The general secretary, all of them have been part of making what has happened today great. And I appreciate what has happened today. I'm extremely grateful. The judgment speaks of itself. The judgment speaks of itself. We put in a lot of industry. We didn't want to leave any loophole anywhere. Culminating in traveling right to Ivory Coast together with my client, the MP. And we are extremely grateful to God. And I thank you, the media men. In the course of this trial, some of your headlines were really discomforting, but I'm extremely grateful. Thank you. Immigrant families, a lot of things happen. Persons who travel, a lot of things happen. But those were not the issues. As rightly, in fact, the justice, they were irrelevant. Red herring. That is what they were. Basically, we lawyers, we know some of these things, but that's fine. We are extremely grateful to the court.
Well, so that's the latest from the courts on this matter. The Israeli government says it is collaborating with Ghana's Ministry of Chieftaincy and Religious Affairs to establish a mechanism that will facilitate easy travel into the State of Israel. Ghana has a significant Christian population of over 70%, with many applying yearly to embark on a spiritual pilgrimage to Jerusalem, an area which hosts many relics of religious significance. Travels were largely restricted owing to the COVID-19 pandemic, but now many have the opportunity to embark on such journeys with the lifting of restrictions. Speaking on foreign affairs on the JoyNews channel, Israeli ambassador to Ghana, Shlomit Sufa, says her outfit is recording an ever-increasing demand for travels into Israel, hence the need to establish the joint mechanism.
Well, Israel is the Holy Land and the land of the Bible, so we attract pilgrims, mainly Christians, but not only Christians, from all over the world. We cherish this very much. We highly appreciate this this kind of tourism, the Christian pilgrimage, as well as others. And we are encountering, especially since all restrictions have been lifted after COVID, and free travel and free movement are back, and we see flights, and we are encountering an ever-increasing demand of people from Ghana that wish to travel to Israel, and they approach the embassy, and we are very much positive about this. We are cherishing this. And we're working with the government of Ghana, to establish a mechanism that will aim to have a swift process as possible for
now there are hurdles?
Sorry?
Are there hurdles in the religious tourism aspect?
Not necessarily hurdles, but the visa process it takes time. So in order to make this as smooth, as swift as the hurdles, but the visa process it takes time. So in order to make this as smooth, as swift as possible, it's better to work hand in hand with the Ministry of Chieftaincy, with the many churches all over the country, to establish such a mechanism that will allow better and quicker issuance of visas.
Have you started the process already? Because we keep seeing lots of our religious leaders encourage their church members to travel to Israel.
Yes, we definitely feel that. And yes, the process, as far as I'm aware, it's already in process, working.
Madam Ambassador, is there anything you'd want Ghanaians to know aside all that we've talked about today?
Yes, I'm happy to share with you, as we've started this interview, that the relations between Ghana and Israel are very warm, very close, and there's a good sense that there's a lot of willingness both on Ghana's government and Israel government to take those relations and deepen them, enhance them. And I feel very lucky to be here as an ambassador of Israel in this time, with so many possibilities and opportunities to work more on our relations.
And our Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta will soon know his fate when the special committee set up by Parliament to consider the minority censure motion present their report to the House for a vote to be taken. The committee heard from the proponents of the motion, PIAC and GNPC, as well as the minister himself. But with long hours of sitting and grueling, of course, and some fiery clashes, there was still time for some casual jokes. Parliamentary Affairs correspondent Kwekwa Santi looks at some of these refreshing moments in the special report.
Times are hard. Even Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta, who is blamed for the current economic crisis, admits to this, with the parliamentary process seeking to remove him underway. The special committee set up by the Speaker has been hearing from witnesses. With such a serious business, that will end the political career of the minister, there has still been moments of jokes and laughter with co-chair of the committee, Adansia Sogah MP, Katie Hammond, the center of most of such encounters. The minority leader had claimed the NDC's numbers in parliament were not being respected. This is what Katie Hammond had to say in response.
We are here because of the numbers that he said we are not respected. If we had the proper numbers, you think we'll be sitting here, I'll be sweating like this. So what do you mean by we don't respect your numbers?
You will recall the contentious matter of haircuts or no haircuts as Ghana seeks to restructure its debts. Listen to this banter where Katie Hammond says he doesn't need a haircut because God is his barber.
I'm not sure the president was advised properly to have been categorical that there will be no haircut. Has there been a haircut? Whatever that means.
If there is tomorrow,
my God is my barber. Nobody's cutting my hair.
You have no hair for a cut.
So which one is that?
Yours, you fit as guy and pay something.
But between the two co-chairs of the committee, Katie Hammond and Dominic Ayine, who has been at the bar for a longer period.
Well, yes, co-chair. Yeah, co-senior chair.
Okay, well, you are my senior in parliament, but you are my junior at the bar.
Also. What were you called to the bar?
I was called to the bar in October 1995.
And you call yourself a senior? I was called to the Bar of England and Wales in November 1991.
Well, an English lawyer has no license to practice in Ghana.
Listen to him. I was exempted from the whatever bar here and granted my exemption to practice at the Bar of Ghana. What are you talking about?
When were you called to the Bar of Ghana?
He said 1991, 1996?
1995.
Well, you said 1995. I was granted exemptions in Ghana in 1997. You don't take me for a baby. 1991, where was he?
So you are 2 years. You are 2 years my junior.
You are out of order. Completely out of order.
Katie Hammond also wants Dr. Kisela Tuforsen to shut up when he is speaking.
Because you keep interjecting me. Since when did you become kind of anxious about me?
I know because you are.
Yeah, so uncle talks, you shut up, isn't it? Yeah.
Minority leader Haruna Idrisu also had a proverb for the committee.
You know, this morning when I arrived, Chairman, I shared a proverb with you and Honorable Anyimedu. I said, if you are pounding fufu for a blind man, the best way to assure the blind man that you are not eating the fufu is to be whistling. You have to be whistling whilst you are pounding. Is the city crash or not crash? We have done our whistling.
As the committee ended its work and co-chair Katie Hammond introduced guests, he refused to introduce one notable minister.
I expect the committee to take parliamentary notice of my name and constituency. Of course.
Even with these light moments, the country awaits the verdict of Parliament on the embattled Finance Minister, Ken Ofori-Atta, who is blamed for the sorry state of the economy.
And then, Finance Minister, you remember when you started owing certain words, I told you that don't do it because the cataclysm is mine. And then the apocalyptic is Mr. Apocalyptic. He's here. So he's here. So I think yours is the eco space, isn't it? Ecosystem. You can own your ecosystem.
Tried one, but certainly not 300 other animals. And that's all we have for you here on The Pulse. I'm Blessed Sogah. Log on to myjoyonline.com. Updates for you when you log on to the website. We're taking a break now. Next is Let's Talk Showbiz. Thanks for watching. We'll see you again.